I was 27 years old when my father looked me straight in the eye across a table of champagne glasses and said, "You'll never earn much with that degree, Sarah. It's cute that you tried." The words hit me like a slap. We were at Marcello's in downtown Portland, Oregon, the kind of restaurant where the waiters wear white gloves and the wine list has its own leather-bound menu. My graduation dinner? My master's degree in computer science from MIT. My moment, and he'd just destroyed it. My mother flinched but said nothing. She never did. My older brother James, 32, smirked into his wine glass. His wife Victoria, my father's favorite person who wasn't actually his child, placed her hand on Dad's arm like she was comforting him. Like he was the victim here. "Richard, maybe—" My mother started. "Maybe nothing, Caroline." My father cut her off. "Someone needs to be realistic with her. She's been in school forever, racking up debt, playing with computers. Meanwhile, James here just closed a $2 million real estate deal." James raised his glass. Victoria beamed. The table, 12 people, all family or family friends, went silent. Some looked away. Others watched me like I was a car crash they couldn't stop staring at. My hands shook as I reached for my water glass. I'd worked 3 jobs during grad school. I'd slept 4 hours a night for 2 years. I'd built an AI algorithm that 3 companies were already bidding on. And my father, Richard Morrison, CEO of Morrison Commercial Properties, had just called it cute. "Dad, You actually what? Got a piece of paper? Congratulations." He waved his hand dismissively. "Your brother's making real money. Building real wealth. You're going to what? Work for some startup that'll fold in a year?" I felt something crack inside my chest. Not break, just crack. Like ice under pressure. The waiter appeared with our appetizers. Oysters on ice, $48 per half dozen. My father had ordered them without asking anyone. He always did. He controlled everything. The menu, the conversation. The room. "Let's eat," he announced. As if he hadn't just humiliated me in front of everyone. Victoria leaned toward me with that smile she did, the one that looked sympathetic but felt like poison. "It's okay, Sarah. Not everyone is cut out for business. You can always teach or something." Teaching wasn't a backup plan. It was a noble profession, but she'd said it like it was failure. I excused myself to the bathroom. In the mirror, I looked exactly like what I was, a girl who'd been told her whole life she wasn't quite enough. My father had said it in 1,000 ways since I was 16, and told him I wanted to study computer science instead of joining the family business. "That's not for girls like you. You don't have the head for it. Why not marketing? You're pretty enough for marketing." I'd proven him wrong at every turn. Full scholarship to MIT, top of my class, multiple job offers. But none of it mattered because Richard Morrison had decided it didn't count. When I returned to the table, dessert had been ordered. Tiramisu for everyone. My father was holding court, telling a story about James's latest property flip. Everyone laughed at the right moments. No one looked at me. The bill came in a black leather folder. My father didn't even glance at it, just handed his Amex card to the waiter like he was swatting a fly. That's when something clicked into place in my mind. A decision, a plan. A moment of absolute clarity. I stood up. Every eye turned to me. "I'll take care of dinner tonight," I said quietly. My father laughed. Actually laughed. "Sarah, sweetheart, this dinner is probably more than you'll make in 3 months." "I know exactly what it costs," I said. "And I'm paying." The waiter returned with the bill. My father's hand was already reaching for it when I intercepted, pulled the folder toward me, opened it. The total stared back at me in embossed numbers. 62,847, 12 sets of eyes locked onto me. The leather folder felt heavy in my hands, heavier than any textbook I'd carried through MIT's frozen campus at 3 a.m. "Sarah, don't be ridiculous," my father said, reaching for the bill. "Sit down." I pulled it back. "Say 2A Ford," I read aloud. "Oysters, lobster thermidor, the 1995 Chateau Margaux you ordered without asking anyone, desserts, service charge." Victoria laughed, that high-pitched sound that made my teeth ache. "Oh, honey, that's sweet, but maybe let the adults handle this." She was 29. 2 years older than me. She'd never worked a day in her life. I'm handling it, I said. My mother's face had gone pale. Sarah, please. Let my father what? Pay for my humiliation? No thanks. I turned to the waiter hovering nervously nearby. Do you take cash? The young man, maybe 23, name tag reading Miguel, nodded slowly. Yes, ma'am. We do. Perfect. I reached into my purse. My father stood up. Sarah Elizabeth Morrison, you're making a scene. Good, I said. I learned from the best. James leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, that same smirk on his face. This should be entertaining. What are you going to do, sis? Use your student loan money? Something like that, I murmured. My hands were steady now. Funny how clarity feels. I pulled out the envelope I'd been carrying since this morning. Thick, cream-colored, sealed. Inside was the cashier's check I'd converted just hours ago at First National Bank on Morrison Street. Ironic, that street name. But I'd gone one step further. I'd asked them to give me cash instead. Actual bills. Because I knew this moment was coming. Maybe not exactly like this, but some version of it. My father had been building to this for years. I opened the envelope. Pulled out stack after stack of $100 bills bound with paper bands. The table went silent. Not uncomfortable silence, shocked silence. What the hell? James whispered. I began counting. Out loud, slowly, placing each stack on the white tablecloth. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. My father's face was turning red. Where did you get 4,000, 5,000, 6,000? Sarah, stop this right now, he hissed. I didn't stop. I kept counting. The entire restaurant had gone quiet now. Other diners were watching. Miguel the waiter stood frozen, his eyes wide. 59,000, 60,000, 61,000. I placed the final stack down. Then counted out $847 more in mixed bills. 20s, 50s, $100 bills. There, I said, sliding the money toward Miguel. That's 62 at 847. Count it if you need to. My father's hand slammed on the table. The champagne glasses rattled. Where did you get that money? I looked him in the eye, really looked at him, for the first time in years without flinching. From the company that bought my AI algorithm, I said softly. 3 days ago, they paid $840,000 up front. The rest comes in equity. Victoria's mouth fell open. James stopped smirking. My mother gasped. And my father looked like I'd just told him the earth was flat. You're lying, he said. Ambertech Solutions, I replied. Based in Seattle. You can Google it. The press release goes live Monday morning. The waiter, bless him, was carefully counting the cash, his hands shaking slightly. But I wasn't done yet. Because the real reason I had $840,000 in my bank account? It was so much better than they knew. The press release, I continued, my voice steady now, mentions me by name. Dr. Sarah Morrison, lead developer of the Morrison algorithm. Yes, I named it after myself, not you, Dad. For predictive real estate market analysis using machine learning. The irony wasn't lost on anyone at the table. Real estate. His world. His kingdom. And I'd just conquered a piece of it he didn't even know existed. That's impossible, James said. But his voice cracked. Real estate analysis? That's my field. Was your field, I corrected. Until someone automated what you do and made it 10 times more accurate. Ambertech's already licensing it to 4 major firms. They project $40 million in revenue in year 1. My father sat down heavily. For the first time in my life, I saw something on his face I'd never seen before. Uncertainty. Victoria grabbed James's arm. But how? You were just a student. I was never just anything, I said quietly. That was your mistake. All of you, Miguel finished counting. It's all here, ma'am. Thank you. He looked genuinely impressed, maybe even proud, like he understood something the others didn't. My mother finally spoke, her voice barely a whisper. Sarah, why didn't you tell us? Tell you what, Mom? That I was working on something? I did. Every Sunday dinner for 18 months. Dad called it playing with computers. James said I was wasting my time. Victoria suggested I try life coaching instead. I started gathering my things, my purse, my coat from the chair. My hands weren't shaking anymore. My voice wasn't breaking. "You want to know the best part?" I said, looking directly at my father. "Ambertech's CEO, Marcus Chen. He sat in on my thesis defense at MIT. He saw what I built. He offered me the money the same day. No negotiation, no hesitation. He said, and I quote, 'This is the smartest algorithm I've seen in 20 years, and you're exactly the kind of mind we need leading our development team.'" My father's jaw tightened. "Sarah, I never meant—" "Yes, you did." I cut him off. "You meant every word. You've spent my entire life telling me I wasn't enough, that I chose wrong, that I'd never measure up to James and his real estate deals and his perfect life." James shifted uncomfortably. Victoria's face had gone from smug to pale. "Here's what happens next," I said, slinging my purse over my shoulder. "I start at Ambertech on Monday as their Chief Innovation Officer. Salary is $240,000 a year, plus equity plus bonuses tied to licensing revenue. I already put a deposit on a condo in Seattle. Paid cash, $180,000, closes in 3 weeks." I paused at the edge of the table, looking at each of them. "And you, Dad? You're going to go home tonight and realize that the daughter you dismissed just disrupted the industry you think you own." The restaurant was dead silent. Even the kitchen noise had stopped. My father stood slowly. "Sarah, wait." "No," I said simply. "I'm done waiting. I'm done proving myself. I'm done being invisible at my own graduation dinner." I turned to leave. Made it exactly 4 steps before I heard the voice that changed everything. "Sarah Morrison?" A man's voice, deep, unfamiliar, coming from the restaurant entrance. I turned around. A man in an expensive charcoal suit stood there, maybe 45, silver hair carrying a leather briefcase. Behind him were 2 other people, a woman with a tablet and a younger man holding what looked like a camera. "Yes?" I said carefully. The man smiled. It wasn't warm. "My name is David Hutchinson. I'm the attorney for Morrison Commercial Properties." My father's face went white, and that's when I knew. This dinner was about to get much more interesting. David Hutchinson walked toward our table like he owned the room. Behind him, the woman with the tablet and the man with the camera followed in perfect formation. "Mr. Morrison," Hutchinson said, nodding at my father. "I apologize for the intrusion. But when I heard you were here tonight, I thought it was providential." My father's voice came out tight. "David, this is a family dinner. Whatever you need can wait until Monday." "I'm afraid it can't," Hutchinson replied. He turned to me, his expression shifting to something almost apologetic. "Miss Morrison, Dr. Morrison, I should say, I had no idea you'd be here. This is awkward." "What's awkward?" I asked. My mother grabbed my father's hand. James had gone completely still. Victoria looked between everyone like she was watching a tennis match. Hutchinson opened his briefcase and pulled out a folder. A thick one. "Your father's company is being sued. As of 4 p.m. today, a class action lawsuit was filed in Multnomah County Circuit Court by 17 former employees alleging systematic wage theft, hostile work environment, and discriminatory hiring practices." The words landed like bombs. "That's absurd," my father said, but his voice shook. "We run a clean operation? Do you?" Hutchinson said quietly. "Because the evidence suggests otherwise. And the lead plaintiff? He's very credible." "Who?" my father demanded. "Miguel Reyes," Hutchinson said. My eyes snapped to the waiter. Miguel, still standing near our table, holding the cash I'd just given him. His face was composed, but I saw something in his eyes now. Determination, anger, justice. "You?" my father said, staring at Miguel. "You worked for me?" "For 3 years," Miguel said, his voice steady. "In your property management division. You paid me minimum wage for 60-hour weeks. No overtime. When I complained, your son James told me I was lucky to have a job at all." James shot to his feet. "That's a lie, is it?" Miguel pulled out his phone, tapped the screen, held it up. "Because I have the texts. I have the timesheets you altered. I have recordings of the conversations. Victoria's hand flew to her mouth. My mother looked like she might faint. Hutchinson continued, his voice calm and professional. Miguel came to my firm 6 months ago. Once we started digging, 16 other employees came forward. The case is airtight. Damages are estimated at $4.7 million plus punitive damages that could triple that. My father sank into his chair. This is extortion. No, Hutchinson said. This is justice. And it's public record as of today. The woman behind me, Jennifer Park, is a journalist with the Oregonian. She's covering the story. It runs tomorrow morning, front page of the business section. Jennifer gave a small wave, her expression neutral but her eyes sharp. You can't, my father whispered. My reputation? Your reputation, Miguel interrupted, stepping closer, was built on people like me. People you exploited, people you looked through like we were invisible. The word hit me, invisible. The same word I'd just used about myself. I looked at Miguel, really looked at him. 23 years old, working at an upscale restaurant on a Friday night. Probably his second or third job. Fighting a legal battle against a powerful man. Standing here with cash in his hands from the daughter of the man who'd wronged him. How much do you make here? I asked him quietly. He blinked, surprised. $50 an hour, plus tips. And before? At Morrison Commercial? $12.50, no benefits. No overtime, even though I worked every weekend for 3 years. I did the math in my head. Fast. Precise. Keep the cash, I said. All of it. $62,147. Consider it a donation to your legal fund. The table erupted. Sarah, no, my father shouted. That's our dinner money. Victoria screeched, but Miguel was staring at me like I'd just handed him the moon. Dr. Morrison, I can't accept it. You can, I said. And you will. Use it to fight. Use it to win. Hutchinson was smiling now. A real smile. Dr. Morrison, that's extraordinarily generous. It's strategic, I corrected. I believe in supporting people who've been underestimated. My father stood up so fast his chair fell backward. You're giving away $60,000 to someone who's suing me. Yes, I said simply. I am. And that's when Jennifer Park raised her camera and took the photograph that would be on the front page next to Miguel's story. The camera flash lit up the entire section of the restaurant. My father lunged forward like he might actually grab the camera. But Hutchinson stepped between them. Mr. Morrison, I strongly advise you not to make this worse, the attorney said coolly. My father's face was purple now. You orchestrated this. You brought them here to humiliate me. Actually, Jennifer Park said, lowering her camera, we've been following Miguel's story for 3 weeks. We had no idea you'd be here tonight, or that your daughter would be here, or that she glanced at the pile of cash Miguel was still holding, fund the legal battle against you. This is a setup, James said, finally finding his voice. All of it. Sarah probably planned this whole thing, I laughed. Actually laughed. James, I found out about the lawsuit 30 seconds ago. But you know what? I'm glad I'm here for it. My mother was crying now, silent tears running down her carefully made-up face. Richard, tell me this isn't true. Tell me you didn't cheat these people. My father said nothing. His silence was the loudest answer in the room. Victoria grabbed her clutch purse. I can't be here. This is going to be in the papers. My yoga studio clients will see this. James, we're leaving. Sit down, my father commanded. No, Victoria shot back. Your mess, your problem. I told you to settle with those employees months ago. I told you this would blow up. That stopped everyone. Even James looked at his wife with surprise. You knew? I asked. Victoria's perfectly glossed lips pressed together. Of course I knew. James came home complaining about problem employees all the time. I told him to just pay them what they were owed and make it go away. But your father, she glared at Richard, said it would set a bad precedent. That workers would think they could just demand whatever they wanted. Hutchinson was typing notes on his phone. Mrs. Morrison, would you be willing to testify to that conversation? Don't answer that, my father snapped, but Victoria was already walking toward the exit. I'm not going down with this ship, Richard. James, are you coming or not? My brother looked torn, split between his father and his wife. For once in his life, he chose correctly. I'm sorry. Dad, he muttered, then followed Victoria out. The remaining dinner guests, Dad's business associates and their spouses, were gathering their things too. Quiet, embarrassed. Within 2 minutes, the table that had been full of people was down to 4. Me, my mother, my father, and the wreckage of his reputation. Miguel was still standing there, holding the cash like he wasn't sure it was real. Take it, I told him gently. Get out of here before he tries to lawyer his way into getting it back. Miguel nodded, carefully placing the bills into his server apron, then into a bag the manager brought over. He looked at my father one last time. I didn't want to destroy you, Mr. Morrison. I just wanted you to see me, to see all of us. Then he walked away, followed by Hutchinson and Jennifer Park, who was already typing on her phone, probably filing the story before midnight. The restaurant slowly came back to life. Conversations resumed. Silverware clinked. But our table sat in devastating silence. My mother finally spoke. How long have you known about this, Richard? Caroline, not now. How long? My father slumped. 8 months. Since the first complaint. I thought I could handle it quietly. By ignoring it? I said. By threatening people? That was your strategy? He looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw something I'd never seen before. Fear. Sarah, he said quietly, I need your help. I stood up, grabbed my coat. No, Dad, you really don't. What you need is a lawyer, an accountant, and a whole lot of luck. But you don't need me. Please, he said, and his voice actually broke. You're smart. You could help me figure this out. The algorithm you built, could it help predict financial exposure? Legal outcomes? I stared at him. You want me to use my work, the work you called cute an hour ago, to save you? He had the decency to look ashamed. No, I said simply. My mother touched my arm. Sarah, he's your father. And I'm his daughter, I replied. The one he's spent 27 years telling she wasn't enough. I'm done, Mom. I'm done proving myself. I'm done being invisible. I walked toward the exit. Behind me, I heard my father say something I'd never heard before. I'm sorry. I didn't turn around. I made it to the parking garage before the shaking started. My hands, my legs. The adrenaline crash hit me like a wave and I had to lean against my car, a 7-year-old Honda Civic I'd driven through grad school, just to stay upright. My phone buzzed. Then again. Then 4 more times in rapid succession. James, you just destroyed our family. Victoria, I hope you're proud of yourself. Unknown. Number. Dr. Morrison, this is Jennifer Park. Can we talk? Mom, please come home. Your father needs you. Another unknown. This is Marcus Chen from AmberTech. Saw the news. Call me. Wait, saw the news? It had been 15 minutes. I opened Twitter. The first tweet that loaded made my stomach drop. Breaking. Tech prodigy pays $62K dinner bill in cash at same restaurant where her father's company gets served with class action lawsuit. Photo. Sarah Morrison, 27, daughter of embattled CEO Richard Morrison. Story developing. Portland. Tech News. The photo showed me handing the cash to Miguel. My face was clear, determined. The pile of $100 bills visible on the white tablecloth. It had already been retweeted 3,400 times. Oh God, I whispered. My phone rang. Marcus Chen, my new boss, I answered. Sarah, his voice was calm but concerned. Are you okay? I just went viral for paying a dinner bill, I said, my voice hollow. You went viral for standing up to your father and funding a workers' rights case, Marcus corrected. There's a difference. Our PR team is already getting calls. This is complicated, my heart sank. Are you pulling the offer? What? No, God, no, he actually laughed. Sarah, half of Silicon Valley is calling me right now, asking how they can invest in someone with that kind of integrity. The other half is asking if you're single. I couldn't help it. I laughed too. A slightly hysterical laugh, but still. However, Marcus continued, his tone shifting, we need to talk about your father's company. If his business practices are as bad as this lawsuit suggests, and if you're publicly connected to fighting it, there could be complications with our real estate clients. I understand, I said quietly. I'll keep my distance from— I'm not asking you to hide, Marcus interrupted. I'm asking you to be smart. We have a PR specialist, Keisha Williams. She's flying to Portland tomorrow morning. Meet with her. Let her help you navigate this. Okay, I whispered. And Sarah? What you did tonight? Taking care of that waiter? That's exactly the kind of person we want leading innovation at Amber Tech. Don't second guess it, he hung up. I stood there in the parking garage, my phone still buzzing with notifications, and tried to process what had just happened. My entire life had changed in 2 hours. I drove home to my tiny studio apartment in Southeast Portland, $950 a month, 4th floor walk-up, no elevator. I'd lived here for 3 years. In 3 weeks, I'd be gone. Seattle, new condo, new life. But tonight, I was still here. I unlocked my door and froze. Someone was sitting on my couch. A woman. Maybe 60 years old, gray hair cut short, wearing jeans and a sweater. She looked up when I entered, and her face was kind but serious. Dr. Morrison, she said quietly. I'm sorry for breaking in. Well, not breaking. Your landlord let me in. I'm Detective Patricia Valdez, Portland Police Bureau, White Collar Crime Division. My keys fell from my hand. I'm not here to arrest you, she said quickly, standing. I'm here because I need to ask you some questions about your father's company. And about a man named Thomas Chen. Marcus Chen's father? I asked, confused. No, Detective Valdez said. Thomas Chen, he worked for your father 12 years ago. He's been missing since 2013. The room tilted. What does that have to do with me? I whispered. Detective Valdez pulled out a folder, opened it. Inside was a photograph of a young Asian man, maybe 25, smiling at the camera. Thomas Chen filed a workplace complaint against Morrison Commercial Properties 3 weeks before he disappeared, she said. The complaint alleged fraud, embezzlement, and threats. Your father was specifically named. I sat down hard on my second-hand chair. Miguel's lawsuit mentioned Thomas in the filing, Valdez continued. Said Thomas had warned other employees years ago, that he'd tried to fight back and vanished. When Miguel's lawyer saw that detail, he called us. We reopened the case this afternoon. You think my father— I couldn't finish the sentence. I think your father knows more than he's told us, Valdez said carefully. And I think you just became the most high-profile person connected to this story, which means you might be in danger. Danger? I repeated, my voice barely working. From who? Detective Valdez sat back down, her eyes never leaving mine. Your father built his company on secrets, Dr. Morrison. When secrets that big start coming out, people get desperate. My phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. I ignored it. Thomas Chen, Valdez continued, was a junior accountant, 26 years old, smart kid, studying for his CPA. He noticed irregularities in the books, properties purchased under false names, money moving through shell companies, tax documents that didn't match actual transactions. That's fraud, I whispered. That's prison time, Valdez corrected. Thomas filed an internal complaint. 3 days later, he filed with the State Labor Board. 2 weeks after that, he told his roommate he was meeting someone from Morrison Commercial to work things out. He never came home. The apartment felt too small suddenly. Too warm. Did you investigate my father? We tried. He had alibis, lawyers. The case went cold. She paused. Until tonight, when Miguel's lawsuit mentioned Thomas's name and your father's reaction was caught on camera. What reaction? Valdez pulled out her phone, showed me a video clip. It was from the restaurant someone had been filming. In it, my father's face when Miguel said Thomas's name showed pure panic for just a split second before he recovered. That's the face of a man who knows something, Valdez said quietly. I felt sick. Why are you telling me this? Because you just gave Miguel $62,847 to fight your father. because you're about to be all over the news, and because I think you deserve to know who your father really is before this gets worse. There was a knock at my door. Sharp. Urgent. We both froze. Are you expecting anyone? Valdez whispered, her hand moving to her hip, where her gun was. I shook my head. Another knock. Harder. Dr. Morrison. A male voice, unfamiliar. I need to talk to you about your father. Valdez stood, positioning herself between me and the door. Who is it? She called out. My name is Robert Chen, the voice said. Thomas Chen was my brother. I stopped breathing. Valdez looked at me, then at the door, making a calculation. She approached slowly, looked through the peephole, then opened the door with the chain still attached. A man stood in the hallway, maybe 38, Asian, wearing a wrinkled suit like he'd been traveling. His eyes were red-rimmed, exhausted. Show me ID, Valdez demanded. He held up a driver's license. Robert Chen, Seattle, Washington. Valdez opened the door fully. Robert Chen stepped inside, looked at me, and his voice broke. I've been searching for my brother for 12 years. Tonight I saw you stand up to Richard Morrison on the news. And I thought, maybe you're the person who can finally help me find out what happened to him. Behind him, in the hallway, I saw another figure emerge from the shadows. My mother. Her face was streaked with mascara. Her hands were shaking. Sarah, she said, her voice wrecked. We need to talk. I know what happened to Thomas Chen. Everything stopped. Detective Valdez's hand went back to her gun. Robert Chen grabbed the doorframe like he might collapse, and I stood there, watching my mother, the woman who'd been silent my entire life, finally ready to speak. Tell me, I whispered. My mother stepped inside, closed the door, looked at Detective Valdez, then at Robert, then at me. Your father didn't make Thomas disappear, she said quietly. I did. The words hung in the air like poison gas. Robert Chen made a sound, half gasp, half sob. Detective Valdez's entire body tensed. Mom, I breathed. What are you saying? My mother's hands were trembling so violently she had to clasp them together. I didn't hurt him. I need you to understand that first. I didn't hurt Thomas. Then what did you do? Valdez demanded, pulling out a recording device. Mrs. Morrison, I need to advise you of your rights. I know my rights, my mother interrupted, her voice suddenly stronger. I've been living with this for 12 years. I want to tell the truth. She looked at Robert Chen. Your brother was a good man. Honest. Too honest for his own good. Where is he? Robert's voice cracked. Is he alive? My mother nodded. He's alive. He's in Vancouver, British Columbia, living under the name Marcus Liu. I felt the floor drop out from under me. What? Thomas came to me, my mother continued, tears streaming down her face now. 3 days before he disappeared, he told me he'd found evidence that Richard was embezzling from clients, elderly clients who trusted him with their retirement properties. Thomas said he was going to the FBI. Detective Valdez leaned forward. And I believed him. I'd seen the signs for years. Richard's secrets, his private accounts, his anger whenever anyone asked questions. My mother's voice broke. But I also knew what Richard would do if Thomas exposed him. My husband had already threatened 2 other employees that year, made them disappear from Portland, paid them off, destroyed their reputations. So you helped Thomas run? I asked. I gave him $50,000 from my inheritance account, helped him get a fake ID through a contact I had, a woman from my book club whose brother worked in document services. I drove Thomas to the Canadian border myself, told him to never come back, never contact anyone, never use his real name. Robert Chen was crying now, full body-shaking sobs. 12 years. 12 years I thought he was dead. I'm sorry, my mother whispered. I thought I was saving his life. Did my father know? I asked. My mother shook her head. Richard thought Thomas just ran away. Got scared and disappeared. He was furious, but he couldn't report it without exposing himself. So he buried the investigation, paid off the cops who were asking questions. That's a serious accusation, Valdez interrupted, her face hard. It's true, my mother said. I can give you names, dates, bank transfers. I kept everything. Insurance in case Richard ever turned on me. She pulled a USB drive from her purse, set it on my coffee table like it was a bomb. Everything's on there. 12 years of evidence. Thomas's original complaint. The embezzlement records he copied. The names of other employees Richard threatened. The offshore accounts. All of it. Valdez grabbed the drive like it might disappear. Why now? Why are you coming forward now? My mother looked at me. Really looked at me. Because tonight, I watched my daughter stand up to her father with more courage than I've had in 30 years of marriage. And I realized, if Sarah can be that brave, so can I. I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. Robert Chen stood up. I need an address. Please. I need to see my brother. My mother nodded, pulled out her phone, sent him a text. That's his address in Vancouver. His phone number. He knows I might tell someone someday. He'll remember me. Robert stared at his phone screen. Then without another word, he left, running, racing down the stairs, going to find his brother after 12 years. The door swung shut behind him. Detective Valdez was already on her phone, calling someone. I need a warrant for Richard Morrison. Yes, tonight. Obstruction, witness tampering, embezzlement. Start there. My mother sat down on my couch, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. Older, exhausted. What happens now? I asked quietly. Your father gets arrested, Valdez said, pocketing her phone. Probably before sunrise. This USB has enough evidence to put him away for 15 years, minimum. My mother didn't flinch. Good. Mom, no, Sarah. She looked up at me, her eyes clear for the first time I could remember. I've been his accomplice for too long. Silent, obedient, scared. Tonight ends that. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus Chen, my Marcus, my boss. Just saw the update. Your mother's testimony is everywhere. Are you safe? I typed back, yes, it's over. But it wasn't over. Not yet. Because at 6:47 a.m., my father's mugshot would be on every news site in Oregon. By noon, Morrison Commercial Properties would be in bankruptcy proceedings. By end of week, 17 employees would receive settlement checks. And me? I'd be in Seattle, starting my new life, finally free. Detective Valdez stood. I'll need you both to come to the station tomorrow. Full statements. We'll be there, my mother said. After Valdez left, my mother hugged me, really hugged me, for the first time in years. I'm proud of you, she whispered. I'm proud of you too, I whispered back. 6 months later, I stood in my Seattle condo, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Puget Sound, watching the sunset. My phone buzzed. A photo from Robert Chen, him and Thomas, arms around each other, smiling. The caption read, "Thank you for giving me my brother back." Another message. Miguel. Settlement came through. 8.2 million split between all of us. Starting my own restaurant next month. First meals on me. My mother had filed for divorce. Moved to a small house in Astoria. Started painting again, something she'd given up 30 years ago. We talked every Sunday. My father was serving 12 years in federal prison. James had taken a plea deal, avoided jail time, but lost his real estate license. Victoria had remarried, someone richer. Ambertech's stock had tripled. My algorithm was now industry standard. I'd been on the cover of Forbes, the woman who disrupted real estate and her own family. But the moment I kept returning to was that dinner. That table. That bill. $62,047. The best money I ever spent, because it bought me something no algorithm could calculate. Freedom from people who made me feel small. My doorbell rang. Marcus Chen stood there with takeout. Celebrating? Always, I said. He grinned. Heard your dad's parole got denied. Good, I said simply. We ate dinner watching the city lights flicker on. Somewhere in Portland, Miguel was building his dream. In Vancouver, Thomas was finally living without fear. In Astoria, my mother was painting sunsets. And me? I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Enough. Finally, completely, enough.